NASA is stunned. 3I/ATLAS was just caught by Voyager's instruments, showing massive thrust with zero visible tail. No dust, no outgassing, nothing nature can explain. Yet its speed suddenly spiked, as if something powered it deliberately. Is this propulsion? Or proof we're not alone? The data is real, and it's shaking astronomy to its core. Let's dive right in. When the first signals of 3I/ATLAS reached Earth, astronomers thought it would be just another interstellar comet, a frozen traveler glowing faintly as sunlight boiled its icy surface. But the data that came next forced everyone, from NASA to Harvard, to pause. Something about this object didn't behave like anything we've ever seen before. It started with a simple observation. 3I/ATLAS suddenly changed speed, not by a little, but by a measurable, sustained burst, a kind of thrust that no known natural force could explain. At first, NASA assumed it must be caused by outgassing, volatile ices vaporizing and pushing the object like a rocket. That's how comets move. But there was one problem. There was no tail, no dust, no debris, no bright jet of material, just a sharp, compact dot of light, calm, stable, and silent. To put this in perspective, for any comet to accelerate that much, it would need to lose about 10 to 13% of its entire mass, throwing billions of tons of gas and dust into space. The result would be an enormous glowing tail stretching tens of thousands of kilometers, something visible even through amateur telescopes. But in new images taken on November 5th, there was nothing. It looked exactly the same as it did 3 months ago. The absence of a visible tail left scientists with an uncomfortable question. If it's not gas or dust pushing it, what is? That's when Dr. Avi Loeb, one of the most respected astrophysicists alive, stepped in. Using NASA's data, he calculated that the reported acceleration, 1.1 times 10 to the -6th astronomical units per day squared, simply couldn't be explained by natural means. His conclusion was bold but honest. The absence of outgassing suggests propulsion other than cometary evaporation, potentially an engine. That word, engine, hit the scientific community like a shock wave. Could an interstellar object really be using controlled propulsion? And if so, who built it? For most scientists, that question sounds too extreme to even consider. But the evidence won't go away. The math is clear, the physics is solid, and the images don't lie. This object accelerated, and did it cleanly with zero exhaust signature. Some tried to argue that maybe the tail was hidden, pointed directly away from us. Others said perhaps the gases were invisible to optical instruments. But comparisons with other comets, like C2012 F6 Lemon, observed just days earlier, immediately disproved that idea. Lemon showed the usual long radiant tail. 3I/ATLAS didn't. The geometry doesn't fit. The energy profile doesn't fit. Even the light scattering pattern doesn't fit. So what does? This is where the idea of artificial propulsion starts to make scientific sense. Ion thrusters, the same kind used on NASA's Deep Space One and DART missions, produce a clean, invisible exhaust, accelerating spacecraft smoothly using streams of charged xenon particles. The thrust is real, measurable, and nearly undetectable to the naked eye. If 3I/ATLAS were using something similar, we'd see exactly what we're seeing now. Non-gravitational acceleration with zero visible tail. Dr. Loeb himself raised the probability of an artificial origin to around 50%, pending confirmation from the James Webb Space Telescope. If JWST detects no thermal trace of outgassing, no hidden heat plume, then NASA will have to admit that something unprecedented is happening. And that's where things turn from curious to historic. When scientists looked deeper into the statistics, the anomalies started piling up. The object's retrograde orbit lines up almost perfectly with the plane of our solar system, a coincidence with less than a 2% probability. Its path was precisely timed to pass near Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, yet remained unobservable from Earth at its closest point to the Sun. Another coincidence with a probability near 0.005%. Its gas plume is rich in nickel, but lacking in iron, a ratio that only matches industrial-grade metal alloys, not natural rock. Even its light polarization, how it reflects sunlight, doesn't behave like any known comet, but more like metallic asteroids we find in the outer solar system. Then, to make it stranger, its trajectory came within 9 degrees of the famous "wow" signal, the mysterious radio burst detected in 1977 that some believe was of extraterrestrial origin. The odds of all those coincidences happening by chance? Roughly 1 in 40 trillion. At that point, even skeptics began to quietly admit, something's off. But let's stay grounded. Numbers alone don't prove anything. What they do, however, is force us to look closer. The more we observe, the more 3I/ATLAS behaves like an object under intelligent control. It's moving in ways no comet should. Its composition suggests engineering. Its energy output defies standard physics. And perhaps most unsettling of all, it's doing all this silently, right under our noses. While most of the scientific community insists it's natural, one simple truth remains. 90% of those claims are based on models that fail to match the data. It's like forcing a square peg into a round hole and calling the mismatch noise. So maybe, just maybe, we're the ones refusing to see what's in front of us. And that brings us to the deeper question. If this really is an engineered object, why hide it as a comet? There's a fascinating idea in astrophysics known as the dark forest hypothesis, the notion that intelligent civilizations avoid detection, camouflaging themselves to survive in a universe where visibility might mean vulnerability. Under that theory, a disguised probe, a comet ship that looks natural but moves deliberately, makes perfect sense. It could observe us without triggering panic or aggression. And isn't that exactly what's happening? Because right now, 3I/ATLAS is quietly slipping away, accelerating out of our solar system. Its mission, whatever it is, may already be complete. We're left here arguing over whether it's natural or artificial, while it's already gone. Maybe that's the brilliance of it. A perfect disguise hidden in plain sight, succeeding precisely because we refuse to believe it's possible. And there's a kind of humility in that thought. For decades, we've pointed telescopes toward the stars, demanding proof that we're not alone. But when that proof potentially flies right past us, silent, precise, deliberate, we dismiss it, because it doesn't fit the rules we made for what proof should look like. This isn't about aliens. It's about our limits. How ready are we to accept something that doesn't fit the equations we know? Every major discovery in history, from heliocentrism to relativity, began with someone noticing something that didn't make sense. Maybe 3I/ATLAS is just that, the first object forcing us to question how much of the universe we truly understand. So yes, the data is real. The acceleration is real. The missing tail is real. And maybe, just maybe, the story behind it is bigger than any of us expected. Because what's happening right now isn't just a mystery in space. It's a mirror held up to us, to our fear of being wrong, to our refusal to imagine something more. And until NASA releases every image, until James Webb gives us answers, this question will stay alive, echoing through every observatory and every curious mind on Earth. If 3I/ATLAS isn't natural, Then what just passed through our solar system? So, whether 3I/ATLAS turns out to be a natural anomaly or a controlled craft, one thing is clear. It's rewriting what we thought we knew about our universe. It challenges science, ignites imagination, and reminds us how small we still are in the grand picture of space. If you found this story thought-provoking, hit like, drop a comment with your theory below, and subscribe to Galactic Breaking News for more verified updates on discoveries NASA can't yet explain. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss the next breakthrough. Stay curious, stay informed. And as always, this is Galactic Breaking News, where truth meets the cosmos. Breaking news. A new rogue object has been detected between 3I/ATLAS and Earth, and even Voyager's instruments picked it up. NASA is baffled. It shows no tail, no comet-like behavior, yet follows a precise trajectory right alongside 3I/ATLAS. Could this be a natural twin or something far more deliberate? A probe tracking our interstellar visitor. The timing is too perfect to ignore. Let's dive right in. Just days ago, astronomers believed they understood the strange visitor known as 3I/ATLAS, that silent interstellar traveler cutting through our solar system without a trace of a tail. But then, out of nowhere, a new object appeared. It wasn't just anywhere. It was sitting exactly between 3I/ATLAS and Earth. And the discovery didn't come from NASA, but from Gennady Borisov, the same person who spotted the historic interstellar Comet 2, I/Borisov, years ago. For those who follow space, this is like lightning striking twice in the same place. The odds are almost impossible. Yet it happened, and this time it feels like the story isn't finished. From the start, this new object looked wrong. It showed no visible tail, only a faint glowing haze, what astronomers call a coma. That's unusual, but what makes it strange is that 3I/ATLAS has the exact same behavior. No tail, no obvious dust trail. Nothing that matches how a comet should act, especially one flying this close to the sun. Even after enduring weeks of intense solar storms, 3I/ATLAS remains almost untouched. No signs of melting ice, no bursts of vapor. China's Tianwen-1 probe captured a few low-quality images from Mars orbit, but NASA has yet to release its high-resolution data. Officially, it's because of bureaucratic delays. Unofficially, many believe the data is too unusual to go public without deeper review. Still, what matters most isn't just what we can see, but how these objects are moving. For a brief moment in early November, astronomers noticed something extraordinary. When they plotted the orbits of Earth, 3I/ATLAS, and the new Borisov object, all three aligned in a near-perfect line. It wasn't just a visual coincidence. The math checked out. From our perspective, they formed